Have you ever felt like this? That empty, guilty feeling after you indulge in a habit that you know isn't good for you. Right now, you promise yourself that this will be the last time. But how many times has it been since? You've probably heard that masturbation is normal, right? It's a common belief in today's world, with many even saying it's healthy. But stop for a moment. Have you ever wondered, how much is too much? When does it stop being harmless and start affecting your life in ways you might not expect? What happens when it becomes something you can't control? This article will answer those questions and delve into why stopping or cutting back on this habit can be a game changer for your mental, physical, and emotional health. Don't feel alone. You're not alone. Millions of people around the world struggle with controlling their urges, but this isn't a story of failure. It's a story of mastery, something that Stoic philosophy has taught for thousands of years. While it may seem like a harmless activity, masturbation can silently hold you back, affecting your energy, focus, and even your sense of purpose. The truth is that this habit, like many others, can negatively impact your brain and your self-retreat. Let's explore this issue from a scientific perspective and see how the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers valuable lessons about self-retreat and personal freedom. Before we delve into the deeper effects of masturbation, it's important to understand how society's view of the act has changed. Today, many people, including medical professionals, consider it a natural part of life. It's even been observed in animals like dogs. So the thinking is, if animals do it, then surely it can't be a big deal for humans, right? However, that wasn't always the case. In the past, masturbation was seen as a waste of sperm, something that could be used for reproduction. It was even associated with physical ailments and moral decadence. For women, the belief was that masturbation could alienate them from men, as they would find pleasure on their own without male participation. These outdated ideas stem from a lack of scientific understanding, but even in today's more open society, we are learning more about how this seemingly normal act can affect our mental and emotional health in ways we never anticipated. How masturbation affects your brain. Now let's get into the science. This is where things get interesting and a little disturbing. Masturbation, like many pleasurable activities, triggers the release of dopamine in your brain. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good hormone. It's the same chemical that's released when we eat delicious food, win a game, or get compliments. Dopamine is responsible for making us feel pleasure, stress relief, and reward. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. That burst of dopamine can be addictive. Over time, your brain craves more and more dopamine to get the same pleasure it felt the first time. So what do? You keep seeking that feeling, which can lead to compulsive masturbation. And it doesn't stop there. According to research, after orgasm, especially in men, the cerebral cortex, the area responsible for conscious thought, goes into a resting mode. This is why men often feel tired and sleepy afterward. While this may seem harmless, the problem is that you are relying on a quick fix to relieve emotional or physical stress, which can become a trap. If you find yourself unable to control your urges, feeling the need to masturbate more often, you may be falling into this dopamine loop. It's not just about pleasure anymore, it's about losing control of your urges and becoming a slave to them. As your brain gets used to these regular bursts of dopamine, it begins to build up a tolerance. This means that you need more frequent or stronger stimulation to achieve the same level of pleasure. This is why some people turn to pornography, increasingly risky behavior, or even become addicted to sexual activities with others. It's all part of the brain's attempt to achieve the same feeling of excitement as before. At a certain point, the brain begins to block dopamine receptors to protect itself from overstimulation. This leads to frustration and dissatisfaction because the same actions, whether it's watching pornography or masturbating, don't provide the same level of pleasure as before. In other words, the more you engage in the activity, the less rewarding it becomes, and the more you feel compelled to continue doing it. Temptation is not about the world, but about how you perceive it. Epictetus. Desire is not bad, it's just a natural human response. But the problem is, we let it control us, guide us, and imprison us. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus made clear, the problem is not the temptation, but how we react to it. Imagine you're working on an important project. Suddenly, a fleeting thought of a quick distraction comes to mind. You think, just a little. But it doesn't just take a few minutes. It can last for hours. Afterwards, you blame yourself, feel guilty, and lose focus. This is the trap you need to escape. Now, let's look at how we can break this cycle. This is where the ancient philosophy of Stoicism comes in. The Stoics, including famous figures like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, believed that true freedom and happiness come from mastering our desires rather than being controlled by them. For the Stoics, self-retreat was not about denying pleasure for its own sake. It was about gaining a deeper understanding of what truly brings happiness. They believed that pursuing fleeting pleasures like excessive sex or food was a distraction from a meaningful life. Seneca once said, "It is not nights of pleasure, but self-retribute that distinguishes a good man." The Stoics taught that by controlling our desires, we can achieve greater levels of self-awareness and satisfaction. Masturbation, if left unchecked, can become a habit that reduces our ability to focus on the more important aspects of life, such as our goals, relationships, and personal growth. Don't waste time thinking about what you can't control. Instead, focus on what you can do right now. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was not just an emperor, but a man like us, faced with temptations, desires that distracted him from his responsibilities and greater goals. His message is clear. We can't control when our desires arise, but we can control how we respond to them. Compulsive masturbation can lead to an emotional roller coaster of guilt, shame, and dissatisfaction. The Stoics teach us that we should learn to manage our emotions healthily by facing them head-on, not avoiding them through fleeting pleasures. Practicing self-retribution is not about repression. It's about living in alignment with our deeper values and principles. When you lose control of your desires, you lose sight of what's truly important. You lose sight of the bigger picture of life, and you may find yourself feeling empty or unfulfilled. But by practicing self-regret, you can regain a sense of purpose and direction. Stop seeing masturbation as a natural, compulsive part of life. It's not a survival need like eating or breathing. Instead, it's a response to external stimuli or internal moods. When you realize that you don't have to act on it, you've taken the first step toward mastering yourself. The next time a desire arises, instead of rushing into action, sit down, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, will this action bring me closer to the person I want to be? Imagine looking back at yourself in 10 years. Would you be proud to remember the hours you wasted in short-lived pleasures, or would you wish you had spent that time learning, creating, and building something meaningful? Epictetus said, "Seek not to change the world around you, but to change your mind." When you feel the urge, find an alternative activity. Exercise, read, journal, anything that helps you redirect that energy toward your true goals. So, what's the takeaway here? Masturbation, while often considered normal, can become a trap when it becomes an uncontrollable habit. It's easy to fall into the dopamine loop, but with self-awareness and discipline, you can break free from it. The philosophy of Stoicism teaches us that true satisfaction comes not from satisfying every desire, but from mastering it. If you find yourself struggling with this habit, it's time to take back control. Focus on what matters, and don't let short-term pleasure get in the way of long-term fulfillment. You are stronger than you think. Take a moment to reflect on your habits. Are they serving you, or are they holding you back? Choose mastery over short-term gratification. You don't have to be a philosopher to master your desires, but you can learn from them. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they all pointed out that true freedom doesn't come from doing everything you want, but from saying no to things that don't deserve it. Master your mind, or your mind will master you. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think self-retribution is the key to a more fulfilling life? Thanks for staying with me. You can like the video and subscribe for more useful videos for you. Goodbye.